1, 2, 3.
Hey.
We're live.
Hey, welcome today to our show. We're back with our guys. We have author Steve Swinburne from Vermont. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Good.
We
How
have
you doing?
author Mike Artell from New Orleans. Hi, Mike Artell from New Orleans. We have Michael Shoulders from Clarksville, Tennessee. So there we go. And I think we could start off today by telling some pretty cool stories about things we learned while researching our books. I think that'd be a good way to start. So how about if I do one story and then we could just go around the horn, one each, and keep going and going. What do you think? Is that a good way to do it?
Yeah.
You think that's a good call?
Great.
All right.
Yep.
So let's see. What would be my first one? All right, so I'm researching my books, and I wrote a book called Polar Bear versus Grizzly Bear. And what did I learn? I actually learned this from another author. A really cool fact for you kids out there. Polar bears have white fur, but they have black skin. So how do you like that? Polar bears have black skin. Supposedly the sun goes through their translucent white fur. It hits their black skin and it warms up the polar bear. So there you go. A little thing about
I think
temperature.
Mike is shocked.
So polar bears have black skin. There's mine. All right. How about Mike Shoulders? You go next.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, see if I can make this work. I'm kind of new to this. Here's one of my weird facts. This is the first one I want to share. It's from my book, T is for Titanic. There were 2 orphans on the Titanic. And what's really weird is Dad got on the Titanic in France. And when the ship sank, they kept looking for relatives of Louis and Lola Hoffman. I need to mute my phone. I forgot to do that. They were from France, Louis and Lola Hoffman. One was 4 and one was 2. They didn't know what was going on at all. They were with their father. He does not make it. He does not survive. They spend a long time trying to find out who they belong to. It wasn't until they finally put their picture in the newspapers in France, they realized that they were not Louis and Lola Hoffman because their mother saw their picture. It seems Daddy wanted to be in America with the boys without their mother.
Oh, wow.
So when he got onto the Titanic, he changed their name so no one would ever find them in America.
Wow.
And so this really happened. Louis, it's Edmund and Mikkel Navratil. And there is the picture of them reunited with their mother. And here is the picture in the book. I'll do it twice so you can see what a great job the illustrator did. Original painting.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Great job.
Original painting. I thought that was a cool fact. Just blew my mind.
Yeah.
So,
Makes you
I'm
want
gonna
to
throw
think changing your name.
Mike, that's not fair. That's way better than my fact.
True story. True story. I visited a school in the panhandle of West Virginia, fairly close to Washington area. And a woman comes up to me. She says, I'm a Navratil. My husband told me that there was a weird story in his family, but he wasn't for sure what it was, just that they were tied to the Titanic. And I gave her that little puzzle piece.
Wow.
Wow. That's an amazing story.
Amazing. I'm going to throw it over to Steve.
Winnie.
Me?
Wake up. Wake up.
Yeah.
This is, you're going to like, I think you're going to like this one. Can you name an animal that might have a super-powered, heavy-duty heart?
Hummingbird.
All right, we'll go around the horn. Mike Artell, what do you got?
Hummingbird.
Okay, Jerry.
Secretariat the horse had a heart 3 times the size of a normal horse.
Okay, you're both wrong. Mike Shoulders.
Jerry Pallotta.
I'm sorry. You lose. The winner is a giraffe. Your heart is the size of a fist or a can of Campbell's soup, twice as heavy as a hamster. Check this out. The giraffe's heart is the size of a bowling ball, 25 pounds, because it has to push that blood not only 6 feet up to its head, its ossicorns, its horns, but also way down below to its hooves, feet. So you're talking about a heart that's massive.
You got 3 guys here just waiting for an opportunity to make a joke now. 3 of us. All 3.
I got nothing.
I learned.
I can't believe that. Okay. No kid. That is amazing. That really is amazing.
I'm doing this new book called Giraffe Math. It's all about giraffes. It's all about math. Like, because when I looked at a giraffe, I thought it's long, it's tall, it's big, but there's so much fascinating stuff about a giraffe. And the more I get into it, when I was in Africa, I know Jerry's been to Africa and he went on safari like I did. You watch these animals and they're just so, the way they move and everything about them is so, the more I learned, there's so many really cool and weird facts. Would you say so, Jerry? Have you done a giraffe on them? Like who would
No,
weigh?
but I'll tell you this. I went to this museum that had giraffe bones.
Yeah.
Now, I could pick up an elephant femur. It didn't weigh much at all because it's hollow like bones.
Right.
They have marrow inside. The giraffe has no marrow. It's like picking up a steel rod. I could barely pick up a giraffe shin bone. It was so.
When they kick a lion, trying to get away from a lion, that's a lot of power, right into the head of a lion.
Now, Steve, I seem to recall that reading somewhere that actually giraffes and humans have the same number of bones.
They do. They have the same amount of vertebrae in their back, except the space.
7 vertebrae.
Yeah, 7.
Vertebrae.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. But now I pass it over to Mike Artell.
Oh, I went way back in the time machine and pulled out a book I did in the 90s called Weatherwise. And I did all the illustrations and I wrote it. And one of the facts, and I still talk about this when I visit schools, most states, with the exception of Alaska, get hail falling from the sky pretty regularly. And I just thought that this was a really interesting fact. The largest hailstone was about the size of a softball. But one time in India, the way hailstones form is they come down the droplets of ice, and then as it gets warmer, they start to melt a little bit, but then it gets pushed back up by the convection of the air, pushing it back up, and then it freezes, it gets another layer, and then it comes back down, and it goes back up, and each time it gets another layer like an onion. And so one time, the biggest one that they found was the size of a softball.
Wow.
Fortunately, it didn't hit anybody, but the really cool thing was in India one time, a whole bunch of hailstones stuck together, and the one that landed was about the size of a baby elephant.
Did it stay in one piece or did it separate?
It stayed in one piece until it hit the ground, but it fortunately didn't do any damage, didn't hit anybody or anything like that. But that's the biggest one. If you can consider it as one hailstone, but it was a whole bunch of them that had actually stuck together. But it was one solid piece that fell, which I thought was pretty amazing.
That's really neat.
I'm never going to forget these things. These things are incredible.
You'll be on Jeopardy. You'll be on Jeopardy. I'll take hailstones for 500, Alex. Yeah.
When I was in Situate, 100-degree heat in August in Massachusetts, we had a hailstorm. And they were all the size of a quarter. And all of a sudden, the whole beach was white with ice.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then, of course, it was so hot that day, it melted after a few minutes. Just as we're about to throw snowballs at each other, boom, it all melted.
Be like throwing ball bearings at each other. Yeah.
Imagine in August, your whole beach is covered in ice. It's pretty wild.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Jerry.
Oh, so it's my turn again? Okay. Hey, all you kids out there, you know the snake, the black mamba? And I wrote a book called Ultimate Jungle Rumble. Hold on if I can find the book. Let's see. There it is. Ultimate Jungle Rumble. There's the black mamba right there. See the black mamba?
Yeah.
Well, the black mamba is actually silver. But why is he called the black mamba? He's called the black mamba because his mouth is black, his inside of his mouth. So see the inside of his mouth right there? So I do have an illustration over here of a black mamba. Rob Bolster did a great job. This is the black mamba right there. Woo. And he's
Move it close, Jerry.
here he is right there.
Wow.
So he's not black, but the inside of his mouth is black. So there you go. That's my really cool fact for the day. You know what? I should have done more research and figured out why the green mamba is called the green mamba. But I'm pretty sure the green mamba.
I bet you know, Jerry, I bet you know why and we have a lot of them down here. The cottonmouth water moccasin is called that.
Why does he have a white mouth?
Absolutely pure white. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a cottonmouth water moccasin. That's why they call it that.
Is there any reason for that, Mike? Do you think there's any biological, like to attract predators or something?
I don't, actually I saw one not too long ago and they, they're like most snakes. They would rather leave you alone and be left alone. So I haven't seen one in a defensive position where it would open its mouth. So I don't know. I don't think it's typically done. I think it's just, I don't know whether it's an evolutionary thing or I just don't know the answer to that, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. That's a great one. I never knew that about the cottonmouth.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, Mikey, shoulders is up.
Can you see the cover of my book, Count on Us, a Tennessee number book?
Yes.
So this was really weird. And Jerry, let me start off by saying this. I'm sure the three of you also feel the same way. One of the most exciting things about writing nonfiction is when you come across that fantastic bit of trivia or interesting fact that you can share in your books and get readers interested in turning those pages. So in my book, can you also see my face on the screen as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
So in my book, Count on Us, a Tennessee number book, I have a page about pencils because most of the pencils once upon a time were made in Tennessee.
Mike, excuse me, Mike, I can only see the PowerPoint.
Okay, that's good then. That's good.
Okay. All right.
So in this book, I have a page about pencils. I'm not going to show the page. But what I learned when I was doing research, I went to the factory that makes pencils in Shelbyville. Shelbyville was called Pencil City. They made 16 million pencils a week.
Oh my
A week?
A week.
Wow.
Is that the number 2 pencil?
Yes. And they had Shelbyville on them because back in the day, we don't use pencils anymore. I don't even know the last time I picked up a pencil, but anyway, they've actually converted. Hey, Jerry, next time you use a Sharpie, next time you sign one of a billion books with a Sharpie, see if it has Shelbyville on the package or on it. Mike, read that and see if Shelbyville is on that. It might be on that. But anyway.
It's not on the marker itself. No.
Okay.
Hold on.
So anyway, here's what I found out. The world's longest pencil was made in Shelbyville.
What?
Tennessee. And I told the guy when I went to the factory, I said, I want a picture of it. He said, it's in the factory. I said, well, can we go take a picture? He goes, no, we cannot. Let me have your camera. Let me hold it and I'll take you back to see it. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but that is a number 2 pencil.
Oh no.
It is over 3 football fields long.
Well, Mike, if it's in a wooden case, how do they bend it like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's what they did. I actually talked to a lady. Let me go back one screen. Do you see a long parade?
No, you got a long parade. Yeah,
a long parade at the bottom. Yeah.
Now, if you Google world's longest pencil, you'll see a longer pencil in France, Mike. and it's a colored pencil, much
Okay.
longer, and it grows out the window. They have people outside holding it. So in Tennessee, they did the same thing. It will actually bend and go around corners because it is so long.
Wow.
They brought it back to the factory. They heated it and put a chemical on it, and they wrapped it like a fire hose.
Huh.
And but in what I find as interesting, is the man took away my camera. He wouldn't let me have the camera in the factory. So
Oh,
I got to see it, but he had control of my camera, and I didn't have an iPhone back in the day, and he took a picture of
I
it.
can't imagine why they would not want you to do that.
Trade secrets.
I got
Like
it.
I might take a picture. So here's the 80 page of my book, 80 pencils, colorful writing pencils, looking sharp and pretty. Millions of pencils are made each day in Shelbyville, the pencil city.
Uh-huh.
Swinny, back
Yeah.
to you, buddy.
thanks, Mike. In my
Nice.
in
That
my
was very good. I love that.
Great, thank you. I mean, I'm not going to forget these things. In my research of my book, Once a Wolf, and one quick thing about this, because I'm on my Facebook and other places this week, I'm doing Rejection Week. I'm talking about a lot of my rejected stories. This book here, guys, was rejected 37 times, but I never gave up on it. I kept getting editors saying, we have enough wolf books. What can you add to the discussion? And you got to have a hook. And my hook with this book was how they brought wolves back into Yellowstone and the history of wolf hatred. But what I learned about this when I went out to research wolves is that wolves will kill other wolves and the only way that they can stay happy is if they're separated with a territory. Wolves will kill coyotes, will kill other canines, and they will also kill other wolves if one wolf from pack A moves in and goes chase an elk in pack B's territory. Pack B will get onto that wolf A and kill it. They won't eat it, but they will kill it. A wolf will never eat another canid, but they will kill them. So wolves kill other wolves to protect territory. Why is territory so important? Because that's where all the food is and that's where the habitat is. So I learned that wolves will kill other wolves.
But they won't eat them. That's what's
They
amazing.
won't eat them.
Yeah.
No.
That's the amazing part to me.
Would a coyote kill a wolf?
Very rarely. Wolves kill coyotes because coyotes and wolves compete for hunting territory and habitat. So when the wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone, the top predator were coyotes. So as soon as they brought wolves in 1994 and 95, guess what happened? The wolves started beating up on the coyotes, killing them, chasing them off. And now there's a much better balance between wolf and coyote. The coyotes stay away and the wolves are over here.
Very good.
Hey,
Now, Mike,
somebody answer the
Steve.
question, guys.
Yeah.
Mike, before you go, Mike, somebody answer this question. Susan asked, are there days that you just don't feel like researching and writing, and how do you get over a slump like this?
I was going to say what I do is read. You know, you don't feel pressured to research every day and pick up a book that you like, pick up an author that you like, and just relax, take a deep breath, read, and who knows, within an hour or so, you might have get back into your thing again.
You know, that's part of the job. Reading is part of the job, reading and finding out what's out there. Jerry, do you write every single day?
I work on my books every day. Yeah. I don't know if write's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like
Well,
that answer, Jerry.
You know, I have to tell you, it's kind of like writer's block when we've all been asked questions about writer's block and things like that. And my feeling is, you know, this is my job, you know, and I can remember years ago, someone asked me, what is your inspiration for your writing? And I said, my daughter's tuition. You know, I will never win a Newbery or a Caldecott. I just won't. You know, it's not the kind of books I write usually. But the kind of books that would appeal to those groups. But that's fine. I'm very happy being a working writer, you know. And if you look outside, you know, I remember Jerry Seinfeld one time saying he was in his apartment and he looked out the window and he saw some guys hauling sheetrock or something. And he said, you know, those guys get up in the morning and they work all day long at their job and then they go home. He said, that's what I need to do. I need to get up in the morning and go to work. And so, you know, we're in a business where it's generally not a repetitive task or anything like that. So it's really a drain on your creativity and your concentration. So you have to take breaks and you have to, I know most of you, if you're like me, you're working on several projects at once just for the variety and to keep you fresh.
Always juggling. Yep.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't have the luxury of, I mean, I'm at a different point in my career now, but coming up, I didn't have the luxury of saying, gee, you know, I just don't feel like working today. You know, it's like, I got a family to feed. I've got a mortgage. I've got, you know, I had to go to work. So.
Yep. I totally agree with you, Mike. At the end of the week, I need to say to my family, I did something this week. I moved a story along, or I booked a school visit. I have to produce. I'm in this office, and if I just watch my internet all day or sit down and read books and there's nothing accomplished, what have I really done? So being a freelancer in these last 25 years has made me disciplined. I've got to try to do something every day that moves my story, one story along. Maybe write a couple of sentences, maybe make a couple of phone calls, maybe put something out on social media. So it's really important. And you're right. We don't have the luxury to just sit back because this is our livelihood. We're working authors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I tell people when they ask me about my career. I just say I've treated it like a full-time job.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, I treat it like a full-time job. I work every day.
You know,
whether it.
I am married to a retired teacher / librarian, and I don't know, you guys typically.
I think you got a lot of school visits at that school.
A lot of freebies. And so you guys, you know, what do we do? 3 or 4 presentations a day, typically, you know? Well, one day in a very unusual situation, I had to do 6 presentations, okay? And it was a local situation. So I came home after the day and I sat on the couch and my wife said, a rough day, you know, and I said, honey, I had to do 6 presentations today. And she looked at me, she says, honey, I do 6 every day.
Absolutely.
You know, there was not much compassion there, but it's true. You know, it's true. It's a job. You know, you got to treat it like
here, hold my beer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Okay, we have another question here. Let's see. It says Linda wrote, "That's insane. A pencil over 3 football fields long." That's great. And then it says, how do you choose which animals you research and write about? Are they animals you particularly love or are curious about? So in my case, writing Who Would Win books, usually there's 2 creatures. I just pretend I'm 8 years old and I think, what would a kid love to read? What would a kid love to read? You know, a python swallowing an alligator. I got a letter from a kid the other day. He said, "Dear Jerry, I love the snake swallowing the alligator." That's all the letter says. So,
Yeah,
you know,
it's great.
I pretend I'm 8 years old. What would kids like to read? That's what I think. There's another question here from Susan. It says, what?
Well, I was going to say, what drives my ideas for animal books is my research and my travels. I mean, I went down to visit my mom in West Palm Beach, and I'm down in the Everglades, and I'm driving for 2 weeks. You know, about 2 months ago, and I'm talking to people, and they're talking about this animal called a gopher tortoise. For tortoises that dig a hole in the sand. So anyway, I started getting into it, and now I'm writing a book about a gopher tortoise. So oftentimes a travel trip will end up, I find an animal. Like when I went to Africa to visit a school, I went on safari and looked at a giraffe, and I said, wow, I got to write a book about a giraffe. So yeah. I'm always led to an animal by my travel.
I I have an animal book because once again, like Jerry is so aware of hooks, in his books. And I was trying to think, I wanted to do a book about insects, but I wanted to come up with some sort of different kind of insect book. So, and I won't go through this a lot, but here's the title: Backyard Bloodsuckers.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And the idea was,
Is that title legal?
yeah. Yeah. So, it's about
Lucky.
mosquitoes and
Yeah.
ticks and fleas and things like that. But it's the kind of animals you would find in a normal suburban or, environment. So, that's one way, you're not going to create new animals.
Right.
So you have to find a way to make the existing animals interesting in a new way.
Right. Finding that.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
That's a great title. I'm jealous of that title.
Well, Jerry, I'll tell you real quickly. I mean, it was a series, but look, I try to stay alliterative. Starry skies, backyard bloodsuckers, weather-wise. So, I kept the title. So
I would say that's an awesome Artell right there.
oh gosh, please
Amen.
stop. But who would win? I mean,
Prolific
how
Pallotta.
perfect is that for a series title? Who would win? Perfect.
All right. I don't mean to be gross, but I'll tell a true story. Am I next up?
No, Artell is.
No, okay. I'll be really brief. And this is just something I learned accidentally, and it's not really a super fact, but I'll just tell you that I did a biography of Saints quarterback Drew Brees, and as it turns out, my older daughter and her family.
Everybody loves Drew Brees.
Everybody loves Drew Brees, and I'll tell you another little story about it later. But as it turns out, he's from Austin, Texas, and my daughter and her family live right around the corner from the high school he went to. And one of their neighbors is the principal of the high school. And so we were over there having dinner last year sometime, and we were all sitting around the table, my daughter and her family and grandkids and son-in-law and the principal and his wife. And we were all talking. And I mentioned Drew Brees. And he said, oh, yeah, Drew went to our high school. I wasn't there at the time, but he went to, and he said, we are the only high school in the United States that has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And it was Drew Brees, of course, Super Bowl in 2010, and Nick Foles from the Eagles also went to West.
He was from Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Nick Foles and Drew Brees both went to the same high school about 10 years, well, it's about 8 years apart. So anyway,
Yeah.
just a little bit of trivia there. I thought that was a pretty neat fact, pretty cool thing. And by the way, Drew Brees was also an incredible tennis player. I found this out doing the research. And in high school, when they were younger, I won't say high school, but when they were younger, he beat Andy Roddick playing tennis one time. So
Wow.
he's quite an athlete. He considered, the reason he wears number 9 is because he was a big fan of Ted Williams, the baseball player, and because Drew Brees is also a great baseball player. So really interesting little
Well,
fact.
did you know this? Since you told the sports fact, did you know this? That Tom Brady went to Junipero Serra High School, a Catholic high school I think it's in Santa Cruz, south
Yeah.
of San Francisco. Guess who else went there?
You.
The best quarterback and the best hitter. Geez, why am I blanking on his name?
Went to the same high school.
Who has the most home runs? Barry Bonds?
Babe Ruth.
Roger
Oh.
Maris, Babe Ruth.
Mickey Mantle.
Who else?
Huh?
Oh, the guy. I know who you're
Where-
talking.
San
Whoa.
Francisco?
Barry Bonds.
Barry
He's from
Bonds.
the same high school.
Is he really? Wow.
So that high school has the best hitter ever in baseball and the best quarterback ever.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
There you go.
You're
Okay.
on, Jerry.
Jerry, you're up.
Okay. I thought I'd tell what I think is a really cool story. So, I wrote a book called Going Lobstering, and I also wrote a book called Lobster versus Crab. And I wrote about 20 ocean books. I grew up on the ocean, and I have lobster traps in the summer. Mike Shoulders has been lobstering with me, and Steve Swinburne has been lobstering with me. And Mr. Artell, I think you need to come up to New England and go lobstering. But
Come, I wanna-
lobsters,
I'm putting it in
ready
the,
for this?
call Jerry
Lobsters.
about lobster.
Lobsters pee out of their mouths.
Oh.
I'm never gonna get over that.
That's what they do when they meet each other face to face. They identify themselves by
Oh my God.
like that.
Wow.
Thank you. Thanks a
Mike
lot,
Schultz.
Jerry. I'm about to have lunch, but I think I'll skip it today.
Yeah. Do they
I'm
say
sorry.
pardon afterwards? Like, pardon me.
Sorry if I ruin your day, Mike Shoulders. But
Oh, wow.
here you go.
Hey,
Next
Chief.
fact is mine. I call
Go
it
ahead,
say
Mike.
cheese. Say cheese. This is my third interesting fact. So there was a gentleman who got on the Titanic. I found this so interesting. He was a priest, Brown, Father Brown, Browne, and he was from Ireland. Well, his uncle sent him the ticket and a Kodak camera. So this is the K page in my Titanic book. So he sent him a Kodak camera. Crossing from France over to Ireland to the last stop, a rich family on the Titanic said, Father Brown, come with us to America. We'll pay for your round trip ticket. All you need to do is just relax and enjoy yourself. They wirelessly telegraphed his uncle, who was a bishop in Ireland, and his uncle told him that in no uncertain terms he was to get off of that ship. He had work to do for the church. Well, he got off the ship, and because he got off the ship, there are about 150 photographs taken on the Titanic on its voyage between France and Ireland, the only photographs that exist today.
Wow.
Wow,
And I
that's
thought that was, they could have been lost. Here's just one photograph. Now, this is extremely sad. The boy in this picture will be the first automobile fatality in Maine about 3 years later.
Oh, gosh.
Is that the
And
captain
so-
on the left? Is that the captain?
No.
That's Winston
this is-
Churchill.
This is just a random picture, but that's one of the photographs he took. And so you can find his pictures online.
Oh, my
Titanic
God.
pictures, Father Brown, and you'll find them. But the
Wow.
only reason we have that is because his uncle said, get off the ship. You have work to do for the church.
Man.
Wow.
Wow. Thank goodness he got off.
Yeah.
Divine intervention.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have some cool facts.
Okay, Sweeney, go.
Well, I thought this was kind of fun. You guys probably know about this because I know two of you live down south. In my armadillo book called Armadillo Trail, The Northward Journey of the Armadillo, I found this very cool, interesting, weird behavior thing that they do. When they're startled by a predator, they will jump 2 or 3 feet in the air. Now, that was part of my book. Now, that works if there's a coyote nearby. The problem is it doesn't work so great when they're crossing the road and they meet up with a 2,500-pound GMC truck bumper. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Who
The
would
grill.
win? Who would
Who
win?
would win?
The truck or the armadillo?
Semi-truck or armadillo.
But I just thought that was a really interesting behavior that they can jump if like a coyote gets and starts sniffing around them, they'll jump up, startle the predator runs away, and this guy can hightail it to its hole, but when it's crossing the road, it's not going to win against a truck.
Hey, Swinny, I can tell you, we have a lot of armadillos here.
Yeah.
I have seen that behavior up close.
Really?
We had one crossing our front yard with 2 or 3 little babies. Sorry about that. So we were, they were crossing the front yard, and I ran outside to chase them off the front yard, and the mom jumped straight up in the air.
Isn't that cool?
It's like, you can't believe it because the thing doesn't look like a creature that could do that.
It doesn't look like the legs could bounce up that high, but it's
Right.
got that ability.
Right.
All right, Jerry. Oh no, Mike, you're next.
Okay. I'm going to show you something. It's not actually like a scientific fact or something, but it's a technology thing that I learned from my son-in-law several years ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm going to try to make this happen live. We'll see if it works. But I did a book called You Can Draw Military Aircraft. Okay. And it's how to draw airplanes and jets and helicopters and all that's very step by step. And I was doing this and I wanted to put a lot of, let me see, specs, like, you know, the size of the aircraft, the length, 3/4 views. And I wanted to put some information online. And my son-in-law said, well, why don't you just put a QR code in there? And I said, and connect it to what he said, video of the aircraft. So I want to show you, I'm going to do this live and hopefully it'll work. So here's a B-1 bomber, Spirit bomber. Now watch, I'm going to take my phone. I'm going to put it on the QR code. And up here it says now, touch that. And then we're doing this live, so hopefully it'll work. Okay, so now we're in the cockpit of the aircraft with the pilots. This is all the military.
Wow.
I'm gonna turn it sideways. Okay, and that's it being refueled in flight.
Wow, look at
That's
that.
awesome, Mike.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
can you put that QR code up really close to the screen? I wonder if it will interfere with this transmission. I'll use my phone to see if I can actually go.
Wow.
Hey, Mike,
What?
I got it.
Do you?
No kidding.
So
Touch
I
the
think
power.
if people are watching, you know, they can do it right off the screen there.
Oh,
Wow.
that's cool, Mike. I've never done that before. I've never done that before online
I
like
never
that.
knew that.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
I thought it was a great tip from my son-in-law. Give some props to my son-in-law, Noel Harvey. There you go, Mike. Look at that. Wow, that's great. So anyway, so that's my little tip. Just adding some technology, you know, making a book, which is, you know, ink on paper, making it come alive like that.
Is that backwards?
No, it's
Nope.
good.
Genizma. What does that mean?
Jerry,
Yes. I'm
your
on.
turn.
Okay. I wrote a book, Green Ants versus Army Ants. And I'm sorry, I'm not that organized. Here we go. Green Ants versus Army Ants. And I found out 2 amazing facts. Green ants live in the trees. Army ants live on the ground. Green ants live in Australia. Army ants live in South America and in Africa. Okay. So the army ants predate the breaking of the continents. So
Oh,
some
wow.
stayed over here, some stayed over there. And the
Wow.
continent broke apart. That's how old the army ants are. So
Wow.
they think that army ants fought dinosaurs. So, because they were around at the same time.
Who
But
would
that's
win?
not the fact. That's not the fact I wanted to tell you. Army ants follow the ant in front of them because they're blind. So they follow the ant in front of them.
They're blind.
So they're blind. So they follow each other from some chemical, I forget it, what it is, right? So if they get in a circle, they never stop walking until they all drop dead.
Oh my.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Like when they go
Yeah.
straight,
Yeah, we're
when
not
they go-
following.
Follow me? Do you follow me? Okay, I got it.
That's the blind leading the blind.
so when they go straight, that's fine. But if they end up in a circle,
Oh man.
they just this is what I learned reading. They just keep going and going and going and going until
Wow.
they die of exhaustion.
Round the circle goes.
And
That's amazing.
since I'm on this book, I'll tell you another really cool fact I learned. The green ants cut leaves and make houses. And guess how they glue the leaves together? They go to their larvae
Oh,
and they
okay.
suck just a little fluid out of the larvae. Not enough to hurt the newborn ant, but they use the fluid in the larvae as
Oh my
glue
gosh.
to glue the leaves together.
Very
Hey, teach kids out there, if you want to see a really cool thing, if your mom lets you on YouTube, Go on YouTube and punch up green ants versus scorpion and watch that. It's
Green
really,
ant versus scorpion.
yeah. So the scorpion thinks he's really cool because he's a scorpion, and he thinks he can fight 500,000 ants. So
Wow.
it's great. You'll learn all about the green ants and how they fight and how they defend themselves. But I thought the coolest thing is how they make their homes, and they use the glue, the fluid that's in the larvae, as glue to glue the leaves together.
Wow, that's amazing.
How's that?
By the way,
All right.
if anybody ever gets in the audience out there, if you ever get down to New Orleans, be sure to go to the Audubon Insectarium. It's this big, giant gray building, and inside it has millions and millions of insects and lots of ants as well. So that's what made me think of that, with leafcutter ants and all kinds of different ants. It's really, it's amazing to see.
I love these faces. Look at that face. Does that look like Mike's shoulders? Does that look like Mike's shoulders?
That's a face only a mother could love.
Mike
about
has
this?
more hair. Mike has
Like
more
Part
hair.
of my shoulders.
Look at that one. That one looks like Mike's
Hey,
shoulders.
Steve, thank you. That looks more like Jerry than me.
And then there's this one over here. We shouldn't have put downs, but we're having fun today. And look at
Wow, look at the mandibles in those
that.
things.
Looks like, I know. Look at that one. That one looks like Mike Artell. And
Gee.
then look at this one right there. There's Swinny. That must be a Vermont ant.
Right.
And
I
then
thought we're putting each other down.
Man.
look at that one. Is that great or what?
That got washed away quickly, didn't it, Steve?
Man.
I thought it was like
Nope.
love your neighbor, right? Love your neighbor.
Yeah.
Who's up?
That was not a put down. That was a joke.
All right, Mike, go for it.
V is for volunteer, Tennessee alphabet. A lot of people know that Wilma Rudolph is from Clarksville, Tennessee, but I'm going to show you a fact that is not in my book. I wish it were, but it was not. Now, first of all, when she was going in first grade, I think, or going to first grade, she contracted polio. She literally missed an entire year of school. That's how bad it was. She could not, this story is not hyped at all. She had polio, childhood polio, and she overcame it. She goes to the Olympics. She gets third place in Australia.
Doing what?
And
What was she doing?
what?
He's a sprinter.
Sprinter.
Sprinter. The summer after high school, she's in Australia. She gets a bronze medal. So anyway, she trains for 4 more years, goes to the Olympics in Rome in 1960. In the semifinals, are you guys sitting down?
Yeah.
She sprained her ankle,
Jeez.
made it to the finals, and in the finals shattered the Olympic record. She happened to have tied her own world record that she set earlier in the summer. So in my book, V is for volunteer, the W page is about Wilma Rudolph. But what I want you to notice is, look at her left ankle, which is in the front. Do you see that it is taped?
Yeah.
Wow.
How could she
Oh.
run with a sprained?
I don't think it was a terrible sprain,
Right, right.
but she could run like 100 yards on it. But anyway, you can find pictures, and I challenge kids at schools to find a picture of Wilma without her left ankle taped. If they find one, that was from Australia, right? But let me show you what is cool. This is a cool fact. Are you ready? Now, do you see the shape? Is it called the negative space in her legs? So let me share my screen, because I wish this were in my book and it is not. Go, Wilma. It's your birthday. So do you see the statue of Wilma in Clarksville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
No.
5 lines create the negative space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like in her picture. That is the exact shape that a genius made her tombstone.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow.
Is that beautiful?
Yeah.
Oh, that is, wow. That is amazing.
Hey guys, notice
Yeah.
something on her tombstone. There is something I think is important that is missing. No bronze medal.
Ah.
She said, I am the fastest in the world. I won gold medals, and that's what's on her tombstone here in Clarksville. So if you ever make it here, I'll take you by and you can see her tomb, her grave site there. This is the bottom of her foot. This is her knee,
Yeah.
and then her long
Wow.
leg stretching out behind her, and then her foot going back down to the ground.
That's very cool.
That is very cool, Mike. That's
I
very
think that's amazing. And whoever thought of that, what a blessing.
yeah, yeah.
Very creative. Don't you
Yeah.
just love creative people? It's unbelievable. Really.
Yeah.
It makes me
Steve,
so
you're getting younger
envious.
all the time. Steve is getting younger all the time, isn't he? Look, oh, there he is.
Steve, you're up.
See you later. Bye. Sorry, guys. I'm going to read this to you if you can hear me. Mi casa es su casa.
My house is your house.
My house is your house. Gopher tortoises make good neighbors. Once they dig a burrow, a welcome sign goes up. Many animals arrive seeking shelter, shade, warmth, or protection and find the burrow a perfect place to hide, rest, or chill out. Gopher tortoises seem unbothered by all the visitors. Here's the cool fact. Scientists estimate close to 400 different species make use of the gopher burrow. So this little critter, you say, what's the big deal about a gopher tortoise? It's kind of brown, who cares? And Mike, thank you, Mike. It lives in your state, Mike Artell. It lives in, I don't know if it gets to, it may get to Tennessee, I don't know. But it's got this little character, little brown thing, digs a hole in the sand. The burrow can be the length of a school bus, guys. Okay.
Jeez.
So once that's dug, you've got scorpions, you've got frogs, you've got snakes, you've got insects, you've got flies, you've got lizards. Everybody goes in there to get away from the heat of the day, to escape a fire, to escape a flood. So that little gopher tortoise provides a huge hotel, if you will. And actually the name of my book that I'm working on right now, don't steal it, is called Welcome to the Gopher Hotel.
Wow. So the guy at the end of the tunnel, when he wants to go out, has to go, excuse me, excuse me.
Well, one last fact, which I should have included. When the gopher tortoise goes down to the back of the burrow, which is called the end chamber, the gopher tortoise has to poop. It's like where the gopher.
We're back to the pooping again, huh? We're back to the pooping.
It's like where everybody here needs their own space, their own private little place to poop. Okay, get a load of this. Wouldn't it be kind of bad if all that poop just started, right? So check this out. There are over 13 different species of bugs and flies that take care of the poop. Hashtag poop. Hashtag eat poop. So there are a certain bunch of bugs that will eat the gopher tortoise poop.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Mike Artell.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
I know we're about to have lunch.
This very quick, real super quick from a new
Mike,
read I did on Michael Jordan.
Mikey,
You got
I have
me?
to interrupt you. I'm interrupting you.
Yeah.
This is what I learned from a zookeeper, that hippo's tail goes like this when he poos. And he actually spreads the manure. So they eat grass, they need healthy grass. So when the hippo poos, his tail goes like that.
Wow.
And it spreads the manure.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an amazing fact, but I didn't have the courage to put it in my book.
Mike's
So
trying to say something.
Go ahead, Mike.
Can't hear you, Mike Shoulders.
I know.
Say it again now, Mike.
When we see each other in public from now on, let's not do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
This will be our hello.
Yeah, it's safe. It's yeah. All right.
See, look,
Hey,
I'll
Mike
show you
Artell, do you have any poop stories?
guys, there's a rhino, right? And his tail doesn't really do anything, right? And then there's the hippo. Whoa. The hippo's tail is a manure spreader. There you go. It's a pretty
Well,
cool fact.
I was, all right, real quickly, Michael Jordan, when he was 10th grade, he got cut from his high school basketball team because he was too short. All right, but here's my poop story. Dust mites. Every house, every curtain, every rug, every mattress has thousands and thousands and thousands of dust mites. And
Do you have them in your eyebrows?
you have them, yes, I'll put it down. You have mites in your eyebrows. They're called follicle mites. And
Ew.
I don't know if I
This is
see a
the
picture.
grossest hour I've ever spent.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I don't have a picture of follicle mites here, but yes, you have follicle mites on your eyebrows, eyelashes, but they're very tiny. They don't bite. They don't carry disease.
Is
They're
there
just-
anything in this mustache?
That indeed, especially that mustache. They're just there to eat the dead skin off your follicles and all. But they won't hurt you, kids. Don't get all creeped out. They're fine. And when you close your eyes and you see that stuff float by, that's not them. Don't worry about it. It's something else. Okay. So that's it. I'm out of facts. I have no more facts.
Jerry,
Yes. I think you all have a fact. You ready?
Yeah.
I'll just give one and then we'll see if you guys can do them. A group of rhinos is called a crash of rhinos.
A crash?
A crash of rhinos.
Right.
Wow.
So, Mikey Shoulders, just give the kids one group that you know. Be a good one.
it's a murder of crows.
Yeah.
No, go
Yeah,
on
that's a
you.
good one. A murder of crows.
Go on you.
And the reason I say that is there's a famous cartoon of like one or two wanting to commit a murder, but they can't because there's not enough of them. And a lot of people don't understand the joke. So,
Oh
Steve.
All
man.
right, Swinbo.
Well, here's my fact. It's called a flotilla of manatees. I don't know if you guys know this, but I learned this
Flotilla?
from my manatee research, that manatees don't have a swimming bladder to bring them up and down to get that buoyancy. But what they do have, and it's back to poop, gas. So what they do, they fart. They fart.
good night.
It's been great, kids. See
Wait
ya.
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Ah, boy.
I can't do this.
See, I heard that a group of seals is called a raft of seals.
Oh,
When
really?
it's in the ocean, when they're in the ocean, a raft
A
of
raft.
seals.
That's great. Pride
Shame.
of lions. Pride of lions. What? Does anybody know? Seems like vultures. Wasn't there a funny name for vultures?
Oh, I gotta dry my eyes.
I can't
I don't
remember.
know.
Anyway.
Hey guys, we've almost gone an hour. I think it went great. I think you guys are terrific. You know, the only other fact I had that I was going to share with you guys is that when I was in Kenya, our guide told us that the locals are very ashamed of the hyena. And I was like, well, what do you mean you're ashamed of the hyena? And they said he never confronts his prey directly, like he never fights directly.
Hmm.
What they do is they chase their prey endlessly until the prey collapses from exhaustion.
Right.
And then they
Oh,
get.
wow.
So I thought that was a really interesting fact that they don't actually fight, but they
Yeah.
just chase their prey and chase
I
and chase them.
saw a Komodo dragon do that. It bit a wildebeest. It just bit him, and it has so much bacteria in its
Right.
saliva that it
Yeah,
just
take-
followed the wildebeest for like 2 days or 3 days, and then finally the
Right.
wildebeest collapsed.
No,
Yeah.
that I've heard that too, Mike.
Yeah, crazy.
Hey, you guys are great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Jerry.
Jamie.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thank you to our
See you
secret.
guys.
Don't forget to spread that poop.
Thank you to our secret weapons, Jamie and Mary Alice. who are in Texas and Connecticut. Thank you, all you author buddies, road buddies, for coming
And
on the show.
Don't forget
Stephen,
to read.
Stephen, why don't you end with a little song? Go.
Thanks for everybody coming on. Thanks for everybody coming on. Don't forget to read. Don't forget to read. Don't forget to read. Don't forget to read.
Yay. See ya.
Boom.